So General Masimola has finished his Madlanga Commission testimony. He has backed Mkhwanazi. He has burned some people, including himself, and he has got some people busted. In this video, I'm going to give you a quick wrap up of what he did. And if you stay until my biblical reaction, then you would see the best speech that Mkhwanazi made, best monologue of all time, followed by Madlanga grilling him big time, closing with General Van Rooyen burying Mchunu. We are happy that this is happening because we need this for South Africa to prosper. So you're ready to see what's happening so far? Press like and let's go. This is how Mkhwanazi came out on July 6. Not very friendly. And you can find all of the allegations, the bombshell that he dropped on this video right here. So at the Madlanga Commission on the third day, he was asked about all this drama. He took them head on.
Commissioners, I demonstrated that I've been a member of the South African Police Service for over 30 years. I understand my role as a provincial commissioner, as a senior manager in the organization. I was trained. I did not arrive in the police in a high rank. I came in as a constable, and I grew within the ranks in the organization. So I understand the protocol of the police very well. As I became a senior manager in the police, I will have undergone training in the police, different management courses that I attended that teaches me on the protocol that exists in the police. How do you go about it? It's just unfortunately that when it goes out into the public that I broke protocol when I had that media briefing. I submit that that accusation is unfair and it's unfounded. They are criticizing me for something that they don't know what it exists in the police as protocols. Beside the fact that we always address the media from time to time as our provincial commissioners who are responsible for provinces. But for that day, I took a liberty to tell the National Commissioner that I'm going to be having a media briefing. And he asked me what for, and I said for the political task team. And indeed, the briefing was about the political task team, just to indicate why this task team is then disbanded. It is because of what we have discovered. So that's what really the briefing was about. And it's unfortunate that there are many people that call themselves experts, lawmakers, and so forth, analysts that blame me for having breached the protocol. Perhaps they will come before this commission and say this is a protocol of police that Mkhwanazi broke on the 6th of July. But I submit before this commission that I did not break any protocol. Because if that was the case and it's brought to my attention, I'll be the first one to admit that yes, indeed, I broke protocol. But I would have believed that action will already be taken against me for having broken protocol. I did not break any protocol.
Okay, thank you. The next chapter.
Advocate Cele,
before
you leave that section, General, even the commissioners watch television. You can take it from me that we saw the media briefing on 6 July 2025. You talked about protocol, which means following official channels. I'm more curious about the dress code on the day and the fact that people who appeared were armed. Just give us a general picture. Is that normally how your team dresses? Why were they dressed that way on the day?
Although we have to now display our tactical strategies in public, but commissioners, as we're investigating and this picture coming together, then we start realizing that we now have to move from being a service provider to society to becoming a force in order for us to prevent the Alcadors and the Mexicos to happen in this country. Because the threat, the enemy that we saw that is infiltrating crime intelligence, is infiltrating parliament, and is controlling our executive authority and going into the heart of the police operations, which is investigation. To date, I'm speaking to you, the Matlalas and the likes, if you go and see the record of cases withdrawn against Matlala, more than 18 here in this province. And you would really realize that you can no longer wear a tie and face this fight. So this is a fight that requires, for one, to apply the tactics that is learned over years. And one had to draw on experience ahead in the task force of saying, how do you deal with a terrorist? And because as I see it now, I think this is terrorism. This is people who want to take over government, not through the ballot paper, but through these criminal activities. We must protect those goes to the voting station. Political parties exercise their rights, they vote, they appoint government. But if government is going to be taken in this fashion, it cannot happen under our name. So it's for that reason that we wanted to communicate a message to South Africa that we are ready, and communicate a message to this drug squad, politicians, the executive, police officers within law enforcement agencies, that we're ready for them. I said when I presented earlier, I knew that I've got a target on my back. So for me, maybe you'll forgive me in saying this as a Zulu man. So I wanted to make sure that they get a message that
I don't sneak up on a person. I face them directly.
So Commissioner, we were pushed to the corner that for us to counter this, what is happening, let's draw attention of South Africa for them to realize the battle that we are about to face. And it is a battle, I must say, as I said, when we put that screen, that they are so-called experts, they are so-called forensic investigators, they are so-called journalists. There's a whole lot of people that are spreading news, feeding the narrative that has been perpetuated by these people internal. We have people in the organization that when a case is open, they take the docket and they keep it in their office and they don't investigate it. And we have evidence for that. The Deputy Provincial Commissioner Gauteng can be called into this commission. He will tell you the list of all these dockets that were opened. There's one of them, it's a kidnapped person which is allegedly Madlala is involved. That docket was in Gauteng, but an instruction came from the head office, the JRSB's office, that we want that case docket. That docket is sitting in the head office. The mother of the kidnapped son, or the missing son, even contacted me because she can't find closure. And now we begin to see that who are people implicated, the Matlalas, and these investigations have been suppressed. We therefore cannot sit back, commissioners. We must take off our Palaberam shoes and take off our blue uniform and wear boots and go and face the enemy directly.
Thank you.
So the short answer was the attire was a show of force.
You can put it at that, Commissioner. It goes beyond that. You have to win a psychological warfare. You need to win physical warfare. And while we're doing that, we're beginning to see suspension of some people that were blocking investigations. And we start seeing cases being enrolled that involve these people. I must say that that press briefing put about pressure to the people that were blocking this investigation from happening. The team is working day and night, albeit the court putting Khumalo and the team outside to frustrate them, but they still find a way of pushing forward to make sure that we collapse this entire enterprise that has developed in front of us for the safety of our children and for the safety of the citizens of this country.
Thank you, General. Commissioner, that answers your question.
I have not seen Commissioner Cele smiling from ear to ear like that throughout the 3 days of Mkhwanazi's allegations. Now, Mkhwanazi did not bring any new allegations, but he just brought receipt after receipt upon receipt upon receipt. Then his 3-day testimony was followed by a 2-day testimony by Masimola. And he burned some people because he included facts like he phoned the president and the president said he was going to speak to Mchunu about why he is disbanding the political killings task team.
National Police Commissioner General Fannie Masemola's evidence before the Madlanga Commission has described a decision to disband the political killings task team by Police Minister Senzo Mchunu as quote-unquote perplexing, further charging that Mchunu did not communicate with him during their interactions prior to the decision, and that it was taken while he was on leave, approved by Mchunu.
At no point during our interaction did the minister indicate any intention to disband the PKTT, let alone immediately or express concerns about its operations. This lack of prior warning made the subsequent developments all the more unexpected and perplexing, as there had been no communication or indication suggesting that such a drastic decision is imminent.
Masimola further affirmed Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi's testimony by testifying that as a policy head for police, the minister did not have the mandate that would permit him to make such a directive.
But Masimola lacked a backbone and he was thoroughly grilled by Madlanga on this.
In this case of the political killings task team, it is a task team that is working at a lower level under a provincial commissioner. If ever he found anything wrong with the task team, he could say, that task team, I think you need to disband it, and we can engage in the terms of the why and how and so on. But to go further to say disband, but then after saying disband, then you go further to say now, not even tomorrow. I think that is totally encroachment into the mandate of the National Commissioner in terms of performance of my duty. I don't know whether I answered.
From that response, if the minister were to stray from policy or the directions envisaged in Section 2072 of the Constitution, stray onto operational or managerial matters, would a national commissioner be legally entitled to disobey the minister?
Just come again, Commissioner.
The answer is yes.
Would a national commissioner of police be entitled to disobey an instruction by the minister if that instruction strayed onto operational matters? Would the national commissioner be legally entitled to say to the minister, Minister, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to act in accordance with your instruction?
Yeah, I take it that, yes, the national commissioner can say that.
Now let me be direct and ask you about yourself. If you were to find yourself in such a situation, would you disobey the minister? If the minister were to give you an instruction that strays onto operational or managerial matters, would you, General Masemola, say to the minister, I am not going to obey that?
Yeah, it depends, Commissioner, but yes, I will. It's a matter that is career limiting, but
it depends on what?
It depends on how he does it.
It's simple. It's
yes.
Simple. You have said operational and managerial matters are within your remit and not the minister's.
Yes.
So I am saying categorically to you that in what I posit to you, the instruction would be falling outside of the minister's remit and be straying onto operational and managerial matters. It's that clear.
Yeah, no.
Would you, General Masemola, tell the minister, I am not going to obey that?
Yeah, no, I will tell him that I won't do it. But as I said, it depends.
So
he must explain why he's doing certain things.
So if he explains himself, would you then obey, even if the instructions still strayed beyond the minister's powers and strayed onto your powers and functions?
Yeah,
I want to understand that depends. So if the minister explained him or herself satisfactorily to you, would you then say, Minister, even though you are encroaching onto my area of function, I will obey you. You are acting unlawfully. You are not acting in accordance with Section 207(2) of the Constitution, but because you have explained satisfactorily to me, I'm going to obey you. Would you say that?
Well, if he explains and I find the reasons acceptable, then I will. But if I find them not acceptable, then I will not comply with that instruction.
Explain yourself. Explain yourself. Why would you obey an instruction on something that the minister has no legal, no constitutional basis to do? Why would you obey that? Just explain that. I want to understand you.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. What I'm referring to, well, my understanding and his understanding probably will differ. But if he says, this is what I'm giving this instruction, you must do it. And there is an explanation why should one do the instruction. We will engage on such a matter, whether as to where is his powers, does it end up?
General, I am sorry to belabor this, but I just want to understand your thinking. It is not policy. It is not directions as envisaged in 2072 of the Constitution. So if it is none of those, why would you ever obey the instruction? Where would the legal entitlement for the minister to give the instruction come from?
No,
and on what legal basis would you obey it?
Yes, Commissioner. Now, if it's very clear that it's clear-cut is not his, then I will not obey it. I will not do it.
I said so right at the beginning.
Yes,
I said
I will not do it.
If the instruction strays onto your area of function, would you obey it?
Oh,
and
no.
you said it depends. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Oh, no. I'll not do it. That one, straightforward, not.
Thank you, Mr. Mutau.
No. Thank you, Chair. I could pick up that there was perhaps something that was lost in the discussion, or perhaps the questions that the Chair poses.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
Maybe the General forgot because I introduced my question quite carefully, referring to the straying and so on. But thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Don't let that smile fool you. It's right there on the face. But when that retired Deputy Chief Justice goes on to paper, his fingers don't smile when he types that report. Masimola burned himself. And then, today, the 25th of September, General Van Rooyen, the top cop in charge of legal, went and buried Mchunu.
SAPS Legal Services head Marga van Rooyen insisting that Police Minister Senzo Mchunu lacked the authority, that's right, she says lacked the authority to order the PKTT, the Political Killing Task Team's disbandment. Van Rooyen says the National Commissioner alone governs police structure, as she testified earlier today before the Madlanga Commission.
Did the Minister have the power to direct or command the closure of a task team that was investigating crimes? And in my view, he did not have that authority because it relates to the operations, investigating cases and the operations of the police. In other words, the execution of the police's mandate in terms of Section 205(3). If we say the National Commissioner is responsible to manage and control the police service, that must be linked to manage and control the police service in the execution of its constitutional mandate. And the decision of a minister to close a political task team that was responsible for the investigation of crime, in my view, fell outside the mandate or authority of the minister.
And so that's how the cookie has crumbled thus far in the commission, while we still wait for the drama of parliament to start. My biblical reaction: the king establishes the land by justice, but he who receives bribes overthrows it. See, rule of law is not a side issue. It's not one of the things we hope can go right or we need to improve. Rule of law is how you establish a land. A land is established by justice. A government that fails at law and order is an illegitimate government. A government that fails at rule of law is an illegitimate government. When you have a party in charge where most of the cabinet have serious allegations through a judicial commission, the land falls apart. And then it says, but he who receives bribes overthrows it. So our whole issue with corruption is not a small, minor issue. It overthrows a land. But a king establishes the land by justice. So I'm praying that with all these things that go on, may justice win over corruption. That is my prayer, and I hope you join me. You can say amen below. But no man can serve two masters. Either you love the one and hate the other, or you'll despise the one and honor the other. You cannot serve God and Karl Marx. God loves justice. Karl Marx hates rule of law. Every time you find Marxism, you find corruption. Marxism, neo-Marxism, all the manifestations of Karl Marx, of the oppressor thinking, always have gone together with corruption. That's why you can't serve God and Karl Marx, and you can't establish a land on Marxism. Let's make history together. Cheers.